everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk. I am your host, John, and today on the channel, we're going to be doing our director and bankroll channel member reviews. So that means we got 3 reviews for you guys. For our channel director, Kevin Kruger, I'll be reviewing The Woodsman. For our bankroll member, Frank, from Frank's Media and Reviews, I'll be reviewing The Medium. And for Mr. Smelly Potato, I'll be reviewing Boy Kills World. And we're going to start it off with The Medium. And this was a choice from Frank's Media Reviews, my buddy Frank. Frank is a huge found footage fan, and it happens to be February, which is found footage February. So I, on the other hand, am not the biggest found footage guy. I've come around on it. Frank himself actually has opened a lot of doors for me, and my channel director, Kevin Kruger. He as well is a found footage fan. The two of them have given me some great found footage recommendations. The thing with found footage with me is it always feels like an under-budget film, and a film that, doesn't have the greatest acting in it. The actors are doing their best, but they're not the greatest actors. You never really get a world-class actor in a found footage film. They're shot pretty ugly on purpose. I'm somebody who's a big fan of the cinematic look, so, it really takes a good found footage film for me to be sold on it, and The Medium happens to be one of those films. And you can check this out right now on Shudder. And this was actually Thailand's submission to the 94th Academy Awards. Like, this was the film that they thought represented their country best that year, and I can see why. The 3 lead actors in this movie, mainly 2 lead actors, they do a fantastic job really selling what this movie is. And what is this movie all about? Well, this is one of 2 movies that we'll be talking about today that deals with a shaman. But the shaman in this movie is like trying to be a little bit more realistic, something that's not very over the top. This movie's actually trying to go for that realistic approach. That's another thing with a found footage film, and it's also supposed to be a documentary. And they actually chose, they said that they actually looked into a bunch of different shamans before they settled on the one here of Nim, who wasn't the original choice. So apparently this god or spirit gets passed down generation to generation of the first female in this family. Now, Nim's sister actually rejected that. It was her aunt who happened to be the shaman before, and then it originally chose Noi, Nim's sister, as the choice to talk to the spirit. I believe it was called Bayin, but she rejected it. She did not want anything to do with it, but her sister, Nim, was more than willing. She wanted the spirit to go into her. This kind of, I guess, made her feel important, so she kind of was like, okay, I welcome the spirit into me. But now Noi has a daughter, Mink, a young woman who actually has a pretty good job, has a happy life. She's starting to show the signs that she's going to be the next choice of the spirit. They start to show these really weird signs. She flips out at one point. They blame it on alcohol, and then we see her talking to a wall. And this movie's very subtle. It's moving along at a pretty slow pace. It's really a lot of rising action, but the movie never calms down. It's always rising. Like, the end of this movie is the absolute climax, so it might feel like a slow burn, but it's a slow burn in the best way. So we're seeing Ming kind of just slowly start to lose it. She eventually even loses her job, which is crazy because her job is to help other people get jobs. So if you're good at helping other people get jobs and you lose your job, where do you turn after that? There's probably no other jobs. You lost the job that helps people get jobs, so that's probably it. So it's pretty crazy. So her life just starts this downward spiral, and this movie's dealing with obviously possession and everything like that, and all these scenes, it just starts to get darker and scarier. And like any good found footage film, you kind of know how this movie's gonna end, but it really lingers on it, and it actually does get pretty damn frightening, especially in this third act. And I actually thought for a movie like this, it was actually beautifully shot. That's something that stood out to me, is how good this movie looks. Some very cinematic shots in the movie that I wouldn't have expected that from. All the acting in this movie is also very, very good. The girl who played Mink is absolutely incredible, and this is what this kind of movie needed, was good acting, and I really did appreciate that. I thought the movie was very well done. I absolutely enjoyed it, and I'm not somebody who's a fan of found footage films, but this is definitely one that got under my skin. And that third act, the way they choose to end this movie, they really go for it. And the last scene, it actually recontextualizes the entire film and makes you question everything that you just saw. So for a movie to do that, I always appreciate that, because it'll keep you coming back to this type of film. And I'm not somebody who's going to revisit a found footage film, but this actually might be the one, and I can see why Frank chose for this to be the one I watched this month. He actually chose for me to watch a different film that I'll end up watching in March, because he said to me that this is one of those movies he wanted to talk about and scream from the rooftops about, and I could see why. It was a great film, a great horror film, and I absolutely understand why the country of Thailand was proud of this film and was willing to submit this to the Academy Awards, because it is a great film, one that I can highly recommend. Like I said, you can watch this on Shudder right now. I would give this film a very solid 8.5 out of 10. Definitely worth your time. This is one that could definitely go into the spooky season rotation, so it's one of those types of films, so I can recommend this one for sure. And the next film we're going to talk about is Kevin Kruger's choice for this month, The Woodsman. And this film stars Kevin Bacon and his real-life wife, Kira Sedgwick, and it's directed by Nicole Kassell, and this is actually her directorial debut, and it's based on the stage play, and it's the same person who actually wrote the screenplay for this movie, Stephen Fetcher. So Nicole Kassell actually saw the play, and then she wanted to adapt that into a film, so they worked together to make this movie, and apparently, Kevin Bacon and his wife were a fan of it as well. They're all from Philadelphia, so they set this movie in Philadelphia. And what's this movie all about? Well, this is a type of movie that's going to really challenge the viewer, because a lot of people would consider like the worst of the worst when it comes to just human beings to be like pedophiles and child molesters. Well, Kevin Bacon's character happens to be a child molester. He's coming out of prison after 12 years. He's got to readjust to society. And the movie's asking you, this man has paid his debt to society, right? He went to jail for 12 years. That was his sentence. And he seems like he just wants to readjust to the world and, he paid for his sins. He feels guilty about it. But he's also, struggling with readjustment. And Kira Sedgwick's character works with him at I guess it's like a lumberyard or something like that. The two of them work together. And, he doesn't want to get close to anybody. He's like keeping his guard up. He's like keeping everybody at a pretty safe distance away because he knows the perception of what he is. He doesn't want anyone to find out who he is. His boss is actually played by David Alan Grier in a very small role. It's weird to see him pop up in this movie. And it's actually weird because a lot of the other supporting characters in this movie are played by Michael Shannon and Mos Def. Mos Def plays like I guess he's kind of a crooked cop. I don't know. A lot of people would say he's probably not because he's just kind of riding like these child molesters and he's kind of just being a dick to Kevin Bacon. He doesn't believe that he can change. He doesn't believe that this is the type of person that can change, even though Kevin Bacon's trying to say, I'm not doing anything wrong. But it's again the perception of a person like this. This movie's supposed to be challenging. Michael Shannon plays a psychiatrist that he's seeing and he like tells all his feelings to him, tells him, you should keep a journal. Michael Shannon's always been a fantastic actor. I mean, this is the same year, 2004. He did Bad Boys 2 that year. So in one movie he plays a psychiatrist, in the other movie he plays a KKK member. So, one's trying to do some good, one's an absolute piece of shit, so show some range. But Michael Shannon obviously would go on to bigger and better roles, but it's cool to see him pop up in this movie. So this movie's trying to deal with redemption and everything that comes with it. Like, you're trying to understand why you would be rooting for a guy like this, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it was actually a struggle for me. I had a hard time rooting for Kevin Bacon as well. The second movie I've ever seen Kevin Bacon play a pedophile in, which is very strange. The first movie I ever saw Kevin Bacon in was the movie Sleepers, and he's an absolute piece of shit in that movie. So to see him in this movie kind of play like the opposite end of that, even though they're on the same spectrum, it is pretty weird. That's kind of something that's strange. I can't imagine anyone else has done that in their career. And Kevin Bacon is a great actor. He brings that subtlety to this role. He could overact if he wanted to. I mean, in plenty of other movies we've seen him do it, but he brings a subtlety to this role, a seriousness to this role. The movie itself, might not be the most entertaining piece of film that I've ever seen, but it's a work of art, and I love the challenge of this film. And I think it's a challenging film for a lot of people if you were to watch this one. I can understand if you never want to see a movie like this, but I could also understand if you're like, okay, I want to see it and see how I feel about the character in this movie. It's asking a lot of tough questions, and I really did appreciate that. And even at the end of the movie, I'm still questioning how I feel about that character and everything that he's gone through. Like, it's hard for me to root for somebody like that. I'm not going to lie to you. And I did appreciate that about this movie. And I think that it's a movie that you should see. But again, I understand if you don't want to see this type of movie and you want to give this one a pass, I completely understand that. If I was going to give this film a score of 1 to 10, I would give this one an 8 out of 10. It was pretty good. I'm glad I checked this one out. So thank you very much, Kevin. And the last film we're going to talk about is Mr. Smelly Potato's choice. And this one is directed by Moritz Morso, another first-time director we're talking about today. And this is an action dystopian comedy film, very similar to movies that I love, so I wonder if just Mr. Smelly Potato thought that I would like this movie, because I like a lot of movies very similar to this, like Turbo Kid or Psycho Goreman, where with the over-the-top effects and the dark sense of humor, because this movie nails that. This movie starts off with almost like a Hunger Games type of situation. Every year, this woman comes out and she kills 12 people, and some of those 12 people this time around happen to be this young boy who would eventually grow up to be Bill Skarsgård, but his voice is gone because he's a deaf mute, because he saw his entire family just get blown away, and it made him deaf and mute. And a shaman grabs the kid and basically teaches him, while also giving him a lot of hallucinant drugs, he teaches him how to defend himself, because when he gets older, he's going to seek his revenge on that woman and her entire family and anybody who steals in his way, because this is a pretty straightforward revenge tale that has a pretty great twist at the end of it. And the narrator, the person inside of Bill Skarsgård's head, is the guy who does the voice work for Bob's Burgers. So if you ever heard Bob from Bob's Burgers, just think of that throughout this entire movie. And it's really funny. Some of the lines that come out of his mouth are absolutely hysterical. Bill Skarsgård, this is perfect for him because he's already a great face actor. So you get to see him do a lot of this because he has no lines of dialogue in this entire film. And it works. It really does work. You just hear his inner monologue essentially throughout the entire film. There's some great supporting actors around him, such as Brett Gelman, who I've always loved since The Other Guys. I know what you're thinking, because of the beard, I must be hairy, right? Shaved. He's been hysterical since then. He shows up in the second season of Stranger Things, and he's been a consistent character in that. Always a great actor, and he's absolutely hysterical in this movie as well. I also really love how this movie's shot, the way the action is done. It's very over the top. We're moving the camera around a lot. You know, this movie is very beautiful to look at. It's very, very, very colorful, very saturated. I really did appreciate that kind of look for this type of movie. Again, it really does fit into this type of dystopian world. And this very over-the-top tone of the movie works throughout the entire thing. And like I was saying about the ending to this movie, it really does kind of come out of nowhere. You really don't expect it. It's kind of almost like a Deus Ex Machina type of ending. And I mean, that might not work for everybody. I'll be honest, it really did work for me. Yeah, it does recontextualize the entire film, but I really did not mind that. I can understand why some people might be disappointed in that, but I really wasn't. I really thought the ending was great to this movie. I enjoyed the entire journey, how we got there. Like, out of the 3 movies I saw from our channel directors and our bankroll members, this was absolutely my favorite. You know, you could argue that The Medium is a better movie and that The Woodsman is more challenging and a great piece of art, but this was just absolutely entertaining, balls to the wall action, balls to the wall fun. I just had an absolute blast with this one. I had a shit-eating grin on my face the entire time, and you know, maybe it's not the best made movie ever, but you know what, it's the kind of movie you could sit down and just have an absolute blast with, and I did. And if I was going to give this film a score of 1 to 10, I'm going to give Boy Kills World a 9 out of 10. It was definitely worth your time. I think you could check that one out on Hulu right now as well. The Woodsman was the only one I actually had to rent. It wasn't on a stream. No, was it? I actually can't remember. I watched that about a week ago. It might have been available to stream somewhere. I think it might have been on Tubi, actually, because Tubi always comes through in the clutch. You know, you got to watch some ads, but if you're really in a bind and you can't find a movie on physical media or anything, check out Tubi. They're always pretty good. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it here for me on another episode of the Let's Talk Review Show. I hope you guys enjoyed this month's episode for our channel director and our bankroll member reviews. And if you guys want to become a friend of the channel, a producer for the channel like John Doe Juggalo, or a channel director like Kevin Kruger, or even a bankroll member like Frank from Frank's Media Reviews and Mr. Smelly Potato, you can look for all that information in the description below. Guys, it's also Friday, and that means it's time for our digital code giveaway. In every single video we do on Friday, I ask you guys 2 digital code giveaway questions. All you have to do is answer one in the comment section below. As long as you do that, you come back to Tuesday's video where I'll put your name on a magic wheel. Then we'll spin that bad boy 2 times. The 2 names it lands on, they have their choice. The digital codes that you've seen on your screen before you today. And I'm going to ask you guys, I figured, hey, the first movie we talked about, The Medium, it's a found footage film. What is your favorite found footage film? And I also want to know, what is your favorite post-apocalyptic film? You know, this is like the Mad Maxes of the world. I Am Legend. Let me know those answers in the comment section below. And while you guys are down there, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Get out in those streets, tell your friends about us, and then we'll be seeing you around.